Hey guys, Tuna Marine back again here with Paul. Today we're doing the 1911 versus Glock, and just kind of Glock in general. You guys requested this video, and so I think we'll start with the 1911 if that works with you, Paul, and
Oh yeah,
take it away.
awesome. Basic information about the 1911. Everyone should already know. Caliber, 45 caliber, solid, pretty large projectile. Definitely has stopping power. It's slow, but it's heavy, so when it hits something, it transfers all its energy.
Hmm.
So I think that the muzzle velocity is about 800 feet per second, compared to like a 9 millimeter, which is 1,200 feet per second. So
Yeah.
it's a great deer deal slower than really anything else.
Hmm.
Uh, Designed by John Browning, short recoil operated, 8 round magazine, hammer fired with it's a pretty simple, straightforward design, and that's why I think we used it for over 100 years. It was,
Yeah, people are still
we used
using
it
them
in World
today.
War One. We still use it today. I know. I think Marstock is it that
Uh-huh. A lot of
still
their
issues
guys.
updated versions, of course, but
Sure.
the same design. It's just I think it's a tan color, which I think kind of looks pretty cool, and some updated features, but the design is exactly the same.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's according to this, it was used as our standard service pistol in World War One, World War Two, the Korean War, and Vietnam. And then kind of in non-standard use, probably more special ops type use
yeah,
uh, from everything until now,
I
everything
think that
else.
was more for like the Army too. I don't think they can consider like the Marine Corps. I know the Marine Corps was using it past Vietnam.
Yes, yeah. We didn't we switched to the M9
'92, I believe.
somewhere in there. Yep,
1992. Let me look that up.
and it was the 1911 all up until then. And I personally love the 1911. It's such an iconic. Oh God, what was that? It's such an iconic weapon that I don't know. I've just fallen in love with it, and I've shot a ton of them. A friend of mine has one that was used in World War II by one of our army units over in Europe,
Hmm.
and the thing looks brand new. He keeps it in such great shape, and it shoots just as the day, the guy that he got it from used it over in Europe.
Nice. I've shot several 1911s from like full size to like the subcompact Kimbers.
Hmm.
But oh, side note, M9 was adopted in 1980.
80. Okay. Okay.
So I just saw that. But anyways, yeah, I've shot lots of 1911s. Uh, have really nothing against the pistol. But when it comes to the Glock, I just think the Glock's just a better platform for today. The 1911, great pistol, can't complain about it, very reliable. Uh, but I think it's outdated and it's time to move on. It served its time very well, very distinguished.
Hmm.
You know, heck, Chesty Puller, in fact, to bring up Chesty again, drilled drilled a I think, who was he fighting? One of the natives in the Banana Wars. He drilled someone through the ear at 25 yards while the person was in a canoe.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, it's like that's with the 1911. That's impressive. Like you shot someone through the ear.
Yeah,
So
because
again,
wasn't
it just shows.
yeah like it was to the point where they had a hard time initially figuring out where he hit him at.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it was like it was dead on.
Yeah, yeah, it was a accurate, very powerful. In fact, the reason we switched to is because the 38 caliber Colt uh, revolver. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Oh,
Didn't
that
have enough stopping power to
the
when we.
1892.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Uh, Fighting in the Philippines, the 38 caliber just didn't stop anybody. You could shoot somebody a bunch of times in the chest and it just goes right through.
Hmm.
So then we got the 45 1911 and one or two shots to the chest just drop people. It's like getting hit in the chest 100 times in just one go. It'll drop you.
When they say too that I guess that 1892 didn't do very well in jungle warfare,
Hmm.
so they needed to find something that could stand up to the humidity and just crazy weather that you deal with
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like cartridges, the design and updates, like with powder, cartridge design, and the actual bullet itself has come a long way. If gunpowder gets wet, it's useless. It won't do anything but fizzle. So you really
Hmm.
need a cartridge and a caliber that can A, put people down, and B, work when you need it to. Lots of people focus on how reliable the gun is, but not many people actually think about how reliable the cartridge itself is.
Yeah,
if it's watertight, basically.
yeah, and that's huge. I mean, because you may think it's an issue with the weapon
Yeah.
when it actually is just the ammo, and ammo tends to be a lot easier to replace than entire weapon systems if you have to swap
Hmm.
it out if you can't narrow down what the problem is.
Yeah.
So let's do the Glock 17. You got
All right.
that stuff pulled up? We'll go over that.
Yeah. So, everyone knows what a Glock looks like, and the reason we're choosing the Glock 17 is just because you know, it seemed it was the most comparable to the 1911. It's the full-size Glock in 9 millimeter. Uh, the only real difference between all different Glocks is size, how large the pistol is, and what caliber it shoots.
Uh-huh.
They shoot everything from 9x19 to 357 to 50 caliber. 50. Oh, what's the actual? I can't remember. But they shoot a 50 caliber round in some cases. So it's kind of impressive as to all the calibers that they can shoot. And so we decided the Glock 17 was the most comparable. But it's full size, 9 by 19 millimeter. Let's see, I think it holds, 18 rounds in its magazine?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know, what experience have you had with the Glock? I'm sure you've at least shot one, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I really have no problems with them. A friend of mine has a Glock 17 actually as his carry weapon, and he's considering what's the single stack they just came out with. The
Uh,
it was like not even a year ago. He's considering going to that, but either way, he's using the 17 right now, and so we've shot it, and I mean I like the feel of him. I think personally I'm not a huge fan of weapons that have
Down here, Dad, hold on, I'm filming something.
a lot of like it's not plastic, but they're
I
not
did, my fault.
they're not metal grips,
Hold on.
And Glock has a lot of those. But if you have no problems with that and you enjoy the kind of the what's the term for the plastic grips where they're not metal or
Polymer?
polymer? That's what I'm thinking of. I was kept saying plastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a polymer composite material that they use.
yeah, it's just exactly. And I personally am not a ginormous fan of just the feel of polymer, but they work well for the weapons. I mean, they test them out and they make sure they can stand up to the various pressures. But outside that complaint, which is purely a personal one,
Hmm.
I think it's the 17 that I've shot is excellent. I was able to hit the target no problem.
Yeah.
From it's like 20 or 20, I think it was 20 yards out, and had no issues. What about you? Do you have a
Yeah, I've actually had my brother-in-law. He's actually a full certified Glock armorer, so he's a
nice?
huge Glock fanboy. And so I've shot everything. I think he has a Glock 23 is what he personally carries, and that's in 40 caliber.
Hmm.
As a customized Glock 19, actually made here in Georgia, which is, from what he was telling me, pretty rare to find.
Really?
Um,
How does
yeah,
he? Is he a fan of the recoil of the 40 cal?
yeah, it's not bad. I've shot it personally, and it's not a it's really not much more than a 9 millimeter. It's just because of the fact that the actual gun itself was a subcompact, so it was
Hmm.
smaller, and so the recoil was a little harsher. But if
Sure.
it was in a full-sized gun, I don't think it'd be very hard to.
She would. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not a big caliber. It's not bad to shoot. I liked it,
Fair enough.
but heck, even my neighbor has a Glock 17 Gen 1 made in 1970, I believe, is
Oh
when he
wow.
got it. Hasn't cleaned it once this entire time. I shot it a couple weeks ago without fail.
Really?
Yeah, he hasn't cleaned it once since the 70s, and it works perfectly. So that kind of just shows again, how reliable the design is, and that's something Glock is absolutely known for, is how reliable their Glock series of pistols are.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with the 1911, I've shot only one 1911 that has failed on me, and that's honestly because of the design. It was a Kimber Solo 9mm subcompact 1911,
Interesting.
and it double feeded on me. So, and that's not to say the design of the 1911 was bad. It's the design of Kimber's 1911 that was bad. I'm gonna absolutely trash Kimber here. The 1911 was not designed to be that small. The design doesn't work when it's that small very well. When it's in a full-size configuration, works great. Can't just take the same design and just shorten it and expect everything to be just fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't really work that well. So that's the only 1911 that I've ever had a problem with. And honestly, it wasn't the 1911's fault. It was Kimber's fault because they just shortened the design and upped the price of the 1911, which they are pretty expensive.
Yeah, anything Kimber puts out is you're going to pay a little more for.
Yeah, no joke.
Do you have a preference on your favorite Glock?
I'd probably have to say maybe the Glock 21. It's a full-size Glock, but it shoots 45. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the modern, high-capacity, Glock with its reliability, but you also get the stopping power of a 45. And that's just my preference. I mean, I'm happy with whatever gun's in my hand, but if I had to choose one Glock, I think it'd probably be that one.
Fair enough.
And I like how it's full size. I have big hands, so I can't shoot little guns very well. My hands are long and got super long fingers, so it's hard for me to get a grip on any super small gun like a Glock 27.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why it's good they do have that variety.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they have a Glock for everyone. Big hands, small hands, everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, honestly, when it comes to Glock versus 1911, I always hear people be like, oh, 1911's only got an 8-round capacity. Well, like, yeah, it does, but you also got to remember, it was made over 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't expect a car made over 100 years ago, like a Model T wasn't made 100 years ago, but it was made a long time ago. You don't expect a Model T to get the same gas mileage as a Prius made today. So, like,
yeah.
It's a trade-off, you know, even though Priuses are gay.
Yeah, I can't stand Priuses.
Yeah.
So stupid cars.
dumb cars.
But yeah, the fact that the 1911 is, it'll be 105 this year, the general design. It's like, it's 105 years old and it still holds up well. You can grab a 1911 that hasn't been all jacked up by Kimber or whoever else, and it'll shoot perfectly well.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have no issues with it whatsoever. And that's something I'm interested in seeing. It'll probably be past when I'm dead, but seeing a Glock, a 17 or whatever, when it's 100 years old, and I want to see how that polymer holds up and how everything else, if the gun is still as reliable, as they are now. And I can't see why they wouldn't be, but that's why the 1911 to me is such an iconic weapon, is because it's been used extensively and it's still a solid weapon 100 years later.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people still choose the 1911. It's iconic, We used it through 2 world wars, Korea, Vietnam, countless other small little proxy wars, and that's just America, not including any other country that, used it.
Uh-huh.
But in the end, I think it just comes down to, with me personally, I know I'm probably going to catch hate for this, I think the Glock is just a better overall design because it's new, The 1911 has served its time with exceptional service, has, saved countless lives because of the men using it, but its design is outdated. It does only hold 8 rounds in its magazine. Glock does hold more, but so that's why in the end I think Glock kind of wins the 1911 versus Glock debate, which definitely won't end here. it's probably going to go on not only in the comments, but just in about
Oh yeah.
every person who even knows anything about guns. You know, it's like with the AK versus AR debate. It's going to be going on before, long after we're dead.
And a lot of it in the end comes down to just personal preference.
Oh yeah.
And the Glock does have the advantage that it is, 70, 80 years newer.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have all those advances in technology that, just put it.
Didn't happen back then. They didn't have Polymer back in 1911.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, wasn't a thing.
Yeah. You can't really blame the 1911 has no faults when it comes to versus the Glock. It was made 100 years ago. You got to understand that. You can't compare a Model T to a Prius. They're completely different animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it does come down to preference. You're absolutely right. Polymer versus just a metal, solid metal frame.
Yep.
It comes down to it. If you want to carry a 1911, by all means, you have every right to, and it will serve you well. I can almost guarantee that. But again, it does come down to personal preference. And I personally, I like the Glock just a little bit more, just because it's a little newer, has updated design, has the updated material, and all in all, would I be unhappy going to war or carrying around a 1911? Absolutely not. I would have no problem doing that.
Yeah, because it's going to work for you.
Yeah, I know it's going to work for an absolute fact, and that's something a lot of people don't take into account. Like, they're always talking about Glock's reliability. Well, the 1911 was reliable 100 years before the Glock was, so you got to give it that. Glock hasn't served through 2 world wars, Korea, Vietnam. So
exactly. That's kind of the advice I give when someone asks me if they should carry, and kind of what they should carry. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's so many different weapons out there of every variety you could possibly think of. Mm-hmm. I'm like, in the end, it's going to come down to a weapon that you've obviously, hopefully, shot, so you kind of know what you're getting into. But then trusting it to the point where you will put your life on its ability to do its job. Mm-hmm. If you take care of it, will it do what it needs to do, when you need it to?
Yeah.
And like,
and that's another thing. I think I may have mentioned this once before in another video, but every gun that I've ever purchased and will purchase, the one question I always ask before buying it is, if today, right now, I had to take this thing to war, would it serve me well, and would I like carrying it? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what kind of gun I'm buying. It could be a Mosin Nagant, an AK, a Glock, a 1911. I always ask myself that question. And both of these guns would absolutely serve well.
Yep.
Glock, no problem, would absolutely serve you well. 1911 has been proven that it will serve you well without a problem. But it's just like, it's another thing people don't consider. How well would it actually work when it comes to real life scenarios? Not, in theory, this will work. Mm-hmm. Well, Murphy tends to show up when that phrase is said.
Yes, he does. All the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sweet. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that covers it, unless you have anything else.
Mm-mm. The one thing I do love about 1911s, before we go, though, is the crazy varieties. You get the match grade ones, the bright gold ones that I'm looking at here. Just some off-the-wall stuff that people have done to them.
People do crazy stuff. And that's another thing. 1911s just look cool. Glock is kind of bland. It's just a brick, but it's a reliable brick.
Yeah, it's a brick that will
absolutely win the beauty contest, though.
Yeah.
Glocks are ugly. I'm sorry. They're ugly.
And for a lot of people, that's a big thing, is kind of the general look of it. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, for me, 1911s have always won.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Glock, but you're ugly. But you work. It's like an AK. It's ugly, but it works.
Yep, exactly. Well, sweet. I appreciate you guys watching. And
if you have any other video ideas, throw them down in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
All right,
any
yeah.
other stuff we should talk about. I think that kind of wraps it up, though.
Yeah, if there's something specific you guys want to see, let us know, and we'll make sure to put it in future videos. Peace. Hey guys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. All the links that you need to get in contact with me are down below. Facebook being the best one to contact me. I'm on my phone all the time, so it's just easiest for me to be able to get back to you with your variety of questions that you guys have. And yeah, if you need anything, by all means, hit me up. So please hit that subscribe button so you can keep in tune with future videos. I'll see you later. Peace.